You're listening to Genuine Chit-Chat. This show is for real.
Hello my friends and welcome to another episode of Genuine Chit-Chat. This week is not a usual episode. This episode is actually taken from my Patreon. I released this on my Patreon I think a month or so ago. I do have a conversation recorded with my friend Matt about Elon Musk, but myself and Megan have this week off together. So instead of going through that, editing it and making all that sort of jazz, I thought it's just easier to release this and then I can continue with the usual programming next week. Now, this conversation was recorded in a car with my handheld recorder on the drive back from Somerset, so we talk about those sorts of things. But obviously, make sure you check out the description for all the other things I've been up to recently. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff going on with Ahsoka. I've done quite a few podcasts around that. My Star Wars podcast, previous episodes I've done on this podcast, along with Nada Maktari, where we spoke about architecture and poster creation, and obviously my friend Matt, who I just spoke about, as well as speaking to David Kerfis about trauma, my friend Jenna about a cancer story. Like, there's loads of great conversations in my back catalogue, and those ones I just mentioned was just a snippet of the last few that I've had. Also, if you're listening to this, then I presume you're not a Patreon supporter, or my Patreon supporter's got a bonus episode today and also an episode slightly earlier in the week. But if you want to support me, you can go over to patreon.com/genuinechitchat. For as little as £1 a month, you get immediate access to over 170 episodes of Afterthoughts. If you don't want to subscribe to something monthly, you can give a one-off donation at Ko-fi. That's ko-fi.com/genuinechitchat. You can give a one-off donation there for as little as £1, and I will send you a couple episodes of Afterthoughts. If you give slightly more than the pound, depending on how much you give, will depend on how much I give you in Afterthoughts. If you want to help the show but you don't want to contribute financially, you can do it in a number of ways. You can share on social media, you can tell your friends about it, and you can leave reviews on Audible, on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. You can leave ratings, you can do all kinds of stuff. And if you do any of those things, if you screenshot yourself doing that and send it to me on social media at Genuine Chit-Chat, or you email genuinechitchat@outlook.com with the screenshot attached in the subject field, write something like Patreon screenshot review, then I will send you a free episode from Afterthoughts. It can be of your choosing, it can be a Star Wars book review, it can be one of these road trips me and Megan have been on. It can be a live performance we've reviewed, like Book of Mormon or the Great British Bake Off musical. It can be a whole number of things. So just mention in there what you want, or I'll just send you something random. But there's a huge amount of ways you can support the show. And if you are on YouTube right now as well, please like and subscribe and check out the variety of playlists I have, which give you a lot of information on the other conversations I've had, the all-in-genre playlists. But that's going to be enough for me, my friends. I'm not going to be back at the end. This is just the full intro and then the full episode gets started. I hope you enjoy it. Please let me know your thoughts, and I'll speak to you next week with my usual programming. Welcome to Genuine Chit-Chat, where we have honest conversations with interesting people. And I'm your host, Mike Burton.
Thoughts now? Are you ready for afterthoughts? Afterthoughts, oh yeah. Afterthoughts, yeah. Are you ready for afterthoughts? Afterthoughts, oh yeah.
Yes, I am. We are here, driving. Well, I'm not driving, Megan is.
Woohoo, standard.
Oi. Often on road trips, obviously I do podcasting and Megan drives, and at night time normally I'm the one who drives, or if it's a really long drive we'll swap, or if it's quite a tasking drive, but the guild. But yeah, Megan's driving, she offered, which is nice, and we are coming back from Somerset, the land of cider, which I absolutely adore because obviously I bloody love cider. Cheese as well, but we didn't actually buy any cheese.
Yeah, I wanted to buy some cheese, but the problem is that it's quite hot.
Yeah.
And we weren't going straight home, and I wouldn't want the cheese to go icky.
Yeah, I mean, our car's already pretty full up with a lot of cider and plant pots as well.
I didn't buy that many plant pots. I bought two plant pots and two hanging pots.
Yeah, but in a car when there's already 2 small suitcases, a dog, all the dog stuff, and about
we have had to take
quid's worth of ciders.
Yeah, well, that's true. We have had to take way more stuff because of having a dog.
Yeah,
I didn't realise how much extra stuff we would need taking Willow on a holiday, but it's been lovely.
Oh yeah, it's been great. But also we brought her crate, and her crate is collapsible, but it still takes up a fairly substantial amount of size.
I imagine in the future we'll be able to go without the crate, and then. But
it's more because in the night time
it's her house, isn't it?
It's her bedroom. Yeah, it's like it'd be almost like
a garden centre.
Oh wow. We haven't been to any of those this weekend.
Hey, but now
it's Blue Diamond. That's the same brand.
Yeah, I know, and we're nearly home.
It's the same brand as the ones
we would have been able to buy plants. They might have had strawberry plants.
You didn't need to buy any more plants. You've got the next week off work, my love.
Yeah, but
you specifically said.
But I need to plant the strawberry plants soon, because otherwise it's going to be out of season.
You'll be able to buy strawberry plants.
When, Michael?
When you see your mum. Your mum loves a garden centre.
I won't know. I'm seeing Jasmine that day. I won't have time to do both.
You will.
No, I won't.
Megan will have time to buy plants. Don't you worry, friends. Fear not. But yeah, you may be able to hear I'm a little bit blocked up because hay fever's a thing, and it's been killing me. We've had Megan's actually been really quite badly affected by hay fever as well.
Yeah, only in the evenings predominantly when my tablets have started to like wear off a bit.
Yeah, I've been having to take 1.5 tablets each day.
I took 1.5 this morning.
Yeah, and I'm having to chew chewing gum almost all the time, like I am now. But I left the rest of the chewing gum in the boot, so I just have to make do with this grotty, flavourless chewing gum I've got.
We'll be home in 50 minutes.
Yeah. But yeah, we've been at Somerset, brought Willow. Normally, we have to faff about getting our very kind friends and family to, you know, some people stay with the dog in the day and walk her and stuff, and other people stay overnight and blah blah blah. Whereas, like,
so this trip was Mike's birthday present from me.
Yeah.
I specifically planned it in mind of having Willow with us.
Yeah.
So the accommodation was dog friendly. All of the places that I looked into to going on the way there and on the way back were also dog friendly as well. That woe was because I went over a pothole.
Yeah.
So it was nice being able to take Bubs with us, and it was just very stress free, really, wasn't it? It was nice.
It was just 3 days. The drive was really nice. The weather's been absolutely delightful. Like, we're recording this the last weekend of May.
It's Bank Holiday Monday today.
Yeah, for English listeners, Americans, most of them don't know what a bank holiday is, I don't think.
Okay, well,
it's a day off.
It's Bank Holiday Monday.
It's basically where 90% of people and businesses are off. Like, a lot of shops are closed. Supermarkets stay open, but obviously banks are closed. Charity shops are closed.
I'd say most shops are open.
Yeah, I suppose it depends on the shop.
It's normally Sunday times, but most places are open on bank holidays.
I suppose they are more so now. You go back a few decades and they weren't. But yeah, it's been a really lovely stress-free time. It's just been lush weather, a bit of driving, but broken up with stops off at English heritage places, because we've got an English heritage pass that we got for free thanks to Tesco Club Card sponsor. God, could you imagine if we were sponsored by Tesco Club Card?
We saved up our Tesco Club Card points so that we could buy an English heritage pass.
Yeah, we basically just buy all our fuel at Tesco fuel pump places, and then get food probably once a month from Tesco.
Yeah, I reckon we'll have enough points to do this, because our membership, I think, expires in November.
Yeah.
I imagine in November we'll probably be able to just buy another English heritage pass.
Well, when we bought the English heritage pass, we still at that time had enough to buy another one.
Yeah.
So we had loads, because it's about 100 and I think it's 110 quid for a joint English heritage year pass, but with Club Card Boost it's 3 times as much.
I think that's changing. I think it's becoming double.
It is, but at the moment it's still triple for the time being, because I've had an email from Tesco saying we're keeping it triple for the time being.
Oh, right, okay.
So I don't know when they'll change that. There might have just been mass uproar, and especially where like Sainsbury's and all other shops are now using, you know, Nectar Card, things like that for
anyone that doesn't know what Tesco Club Card is, Tesco is a supermarket in England, and you have a loyalty card as a reward system. Then you collect points from however much you spend in store or with petrol.
It's like £10 you get 1 point or something.
Yeah, and then those points you can either they turn into money, like vouchers.
Yeah.
You can either use them for shopping, and then it's just points for pounds. It's the same.
£10 is £10.
Yeah. Or if you use them for days out, it gets tripled, so £10 equals 30.
Yeah.
So Mike and I always used it for trips and days out and stuff, because it just means that we get a day out for free.
Yeah, a lot of friends of ours we know, especially ones with families, they save up the points until Christmas, and then they spend they normally have normally in a year you have 100 or so points if you shop at Tesco.
I know quite a few people that save up their points and then spend it on Christmas dinner.
Yeah, Christmas dinner and Christmas gifts and stuff for your kids, because obviously Christmas is expensive. But fortunately we don't have to worry about that at the moment, and we are financially stable enough that we can warrant days out, and we like to go on days out quite a lot, so it's really nice. Like, there's quite a few zoos in the UK and aquariums and stuff which have Club Card Boost.
Well, I mean, Longley, we went to Longley, which is a safari park.
Yeah.
We went there for free because it was on Tesco Club Card.
30-40 quid-ish. But yeah, it's great. We love Tesco Club Card. So Tesco, if anyone who works for Tesco is a patron supporter or is just a regular listener, because normally in like months or years in the future, when I've got a day, normally over Christmas, when it's Christmas, I'll release a couple of Patreon episodes for free, and usually they are road trippy ones. So if anyone's listening to this, hi up at Tesco, sponsor us please, because we love you. But
should we say
what we're doing
rather we've done?
Going on about how much we love Tesco?
Yeah.
So we stopped off on the way here. We stopped off at 2 different. There were free English heritage sites, so it didn't cost us a penny, and it wouldn't have done anyway, whether we had a membership or not. One of them,
for the first 2.
Yeah, one of them I remember the name of the second. The first one was it Ludgershall?
The first one was Ludgershall Castle and Cross.
That's Ludgershall. In case anyone wants to look it up. Quite a cool little place. It's to look around. It takes like 5 minutes, maybe 10. But it was what's quite nice is that it's a nice stop off. So obviously when we drive, it's about 3 to 4 hours to get to Somerset, depending on traffic.
Well, yeah. So I deliberately planned it. I don't think it's that many hours. I think it's like maybe max 3. But I deliberately planned it so that we would go to a couple of English heritage sites on the way to our accommodation on the first day. A, so that we could do stuff that isn't just driving, but B, so that the dog could have like a walking bit and go to the toilet and stuff. Yeah, because you have to stop every 2 hours on the dog, maybe every 3. But it was also nice because we haven't actually used the English Heritage Pass yet since we bought it. So I wanted to make the most of it. And because this was, as I said, my gift to Mike for his birthday, most of the money went on the accommodation. So I wanted to go to a couple of places that were then essentially free. That made it a bit more than just let's just stay in this place and then go drink cider. Yeah, which also would be amazing. But yeah, so it was really nice. So after about an hour or so of driving, we stopped at Ludgershall, then went out for a wee and had a little drink, had a smidge of food, and then wandered around and then got back in the car for about another hour, and then we went to Nunney's Castle, which was even cooler. Nunney's was cool. It was less ruins and more an actual castle. You got to actually see it. Yeah, there was like a little moat around it and stuff. Yeah, and it was in this nice little village where you could have like a little meander around, which was quite cool. And so... Oh my god, these traffic lights changed quickly. Yeah, they did. And then, so Nunney's was really nice. Nice little castle thing. Yeah, then we got to Somerset, stayed at a place called the Blackbird Inn, which was nice. The owners are really nice as well. And then it was in Wellington. In near Taunton in Somerset. Yeah, and then I think we did a Patreon about it. Sheppy Cider. I'm pretty sure we've been doing Patreon for over 2 years now. Really? So I think we spoke about Sheppy's before when we went on the cider tasting tour and things. What's up, Bubs? Why are you growling out, Willow? Can you see a doggy? You looking at the car on the other side? But yeah, so... we went to Sheppy Cider again because Sheppy's is amazing and it's one of my favourite cider places. Well, it's also because I wanted to go to a different place in Ideal World. I did want to try and go to a different place, but it was also just finding a place that allowed dogs, and I knew that Sheppy Cider did allow dogs. Yeah. So I decided to just stick with the place that I already knew. Yeah. That we know that we like the cider and that's dog friendly. So yeah, so we wanted. It was only about it was 20 minute walk from our accommodation, which I'd also taken into consideration. Yeah, we checked the temperature to make sure it was safe for Willow walking, and because it's been a very hot weekend. Yeah, and I touched the ground and stuff. I can be in both lanes. Sorry. And I checked the ground at certain places as well with my hand just to make sure she wasn't too hot, because obviously it wouldn't be fair to her. But she was fine, and it wasn't too warm. It was warm for us, but it wasn't like too hot for the dog. And got to Sheppy's, spent probably a couple of hours there, didn't we? We sat in the... we were there for longer than a couple... We got there at around 10:30, I think, and then we left around 2, I want to say. Yeah, so 2 to 3 hours, which was lovely. Oh, no. Shit. Just go. Oh, no, don't worry. What do you mean? Don't worry. It's a similar ETA. Okay. I missed my exit on the roundabout. Yes. But... what are you eating, Bubs? What is she eating? Willow? I mean, you doing that while driving. What are you eating? What have you got? What have you got, Bubs? I can't tell. Well, my bag's there. Is the bag open with the treats? She's got grass. Grass. Classic. She's been eating... Can I open the window so it's going to sound horrible, friends? Oh, God. Slimy, grotty grass that she's eaten off the mat that she's been laying on. Isn't that yummy, Willow? Yum, yum, yum. Thanks, Bubs. I got your horrible, foamy, gross saliva all over me now. Yeah, you look at me like that, you silly dog. But yeah, Sheppy Cider. Sheppy Cider was great. So we went there and you could just sit outside in the nice patio area. Well, no, you've skipped. So we got to our accommodation, and at our accommodation we then sat in the beer garden. So on the way there, on the way there, we went to a different beer garden. We had some lunch, and then we got to our accommodation. We sat in the beer garden, had some food, and played some top trumps. Yep. And then we just had a chilled evening, didn't we? Because there's only so much you can do. Yeah, exactly. And Mike's hay fever was going mental on the first night. I had a shower in the morning before you left. I had to have another shower that evening. I was like sneezing legitimately every couple of probably 2-3 minutes.
Just over and over and over and over and over again. I just couldn't stop. It was driving me mental.
But yeah, and our accommodation had breakfast, so we had a really lush breakfast.
Yep, they had black pudding, which is good.
Mornings.
Because we've been on a weird black pudding hype recently.
I wouldn't say it's a hype.
No, but it's been recent, like... We've had black pudding in the past, but it's just been the last sort of 6 months. We had black pudding out somewhere, then you bought it
We had black pudding at James and Jill's house. That's why we had it there, and then I was like, oh, I actually really like black pudding, and then I bought some, and I've bought it once, and now apparently I'm on a hype.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've had black pudding more in 2023 than I have probably in my entire life put together.
Then we went to Sheppey Cider, and they have like a little patio area outside near the car park, which is where you're allowed to sit with the dog. You're not allowed to go inside with the dog.
No. So went there, and they're all lovely there. It's great Sheppey's, and they've got so much cider there, and they've got some incredible flavoured ciders. But they've also Sheppey's has like my favourite just apple ciders of just the variety of apple ciders they do. They have my favourites, and they have some of my favourite fruity ciders. But my other favourite fruity ciders is Lily's.
Oh yeah, we
actually went to Lily's. So Lily's cider and Sheppey's are probably my two favourite cider makers in the UK.
Lily's cider, I wanted to see if they did a tour, but they don't. It's literally this tiny little
it's just a shop, isn't it?
It's just a little shop, and then obviously they do the brewing for it in a different place or like around that area.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, we're going to Somerset, and Lily's in Somerset, and I was like, I wonder if it's near any of the heritage sites that we're going to, and it was a 10-minute drive from Nunney Castle, so we got to go to Lily Cider, and then we bought like £50 worth of cider because you can't really get it down the south that frequently.
You can order it online.
You can order it online, but then you obviously have to pay postage and packaging.
And it's quite expensive because it's mainly glass bottles and stuff. Yeah,
and it's more expensive to order it online than going into the shop. But also, you can get Lily cider down south, but it's predominantly in like farm shops, which is then even more expensive.
Yeah, it's often like minimum £3.50 a bottle, sometimes £4 a bottle.
Where it was like £2.50 in the shop.
Yeah, and also we're going camping in like a month's time with my cousin Charlotte and her wife. And it'll be the first time that Willow goes camping. Yeah, they're buddy pet if anyone wants to look them up for dog walkers near Southampton for some reason. But they're lovely people. I absolutely adore Charlotte and Paige, two of my favourite people. And we go camping with them. And they've got a dog as well, Harry. And they actually introduced me to Lily Cider because a friend of theirs had like a big party thing and they bought loads of Lily Cider for it. So we've actually bought a couple of boxes of Lily Cider, the boxes with a little tap on it, and bought a couple of them. So we are going to be taking some camping in about a month's time, but we are also going to be keeping some for ourselves. Yeah. But Lily Cider is my favourite fruit cider in the whole of the UK.
So good.
Whereas Sheppey's is my favourite apple cider in the UK. But Sheppey's raspberry cider and Sheppey's blackberry and elderflower cider is fucking sick as well.
Yeah, the raspberry cider was really, really nice.
Adore it. Neither Lily's or Sheppey's are too sweet either, which is really good. Sheppey's is more of a higher class cider, I'd say, in standard, but Lily's.
Well, you can only in the south you can only buy Sheppey cider at Marks and Spencer's, which kind of says enough about Sheppey cider.
Yeah, exactly. But it is brilliant. It's worth it. Any cider, anyone who enjoys cider who's listening, try Sheppey's. It's really good. But yeah, so we went to a couple of cider places to buy some cider, which is nice. But when we were at Sheppey's, we just decided to try. I think we had
we tried every single one on draft.
Yeah, so we had a pint each of the fruit one. I had the blackberry. It was blackberry and elderflower. I had a pint of that, and Megan had a pint of the cider with raspberry, both of which incredible. And then we had a few half pints. They had a couple of draft ciders. They had
the
a couple of cloudy,
that was the still one.
Draft, a house draft, and other ones. And it was just really, really nice. And we had some cake.
Oh my god, Mike ordered so much cake.
I ordered two slices. Right, so they had. You could have a.
Even this is coming from me. It was a lot of cake.
We didn't even eat lunch because it was just so much cake.
No, we shared a sausage roll afterwards.
Yeah, there was quite a small sausage roll, but we had. So we had. It was a slice of like Biscoff sponge cake, which is really good. Then they had this Victoria sponge, but instead of raspberry or strawberry jam, it was passion fruit jam, and they actually had it in the Sheppey's farm shop. Yeah, it was passion fruit curd, but I think it's about £6 or £7 for a jar, and that's a bit much, especially because we still got
we got the kiwi jam.
Well, no, you've got the kiwi jam. I've got the rhubarb and ginger jam.
Yeah.
Which maybe when we get home we can try some. But we haven't got any bread.
I think we need to go to a shop.
Yeah.
Oh well, don't worry.
But
that stuff doesn't need to be on the.
Yeah, that's admin stuff. That's just boring life stuff. As I was talking about doing the dishes. But yeah, so we had that, had some cake, but they also had some Italian pastry, right? 2 Italian things.
Yeah, there was a cannoli.
Yeah, it was kind of like, it wasn't quite a cannoli, but something similar, like a Agostini or something.
Is that what it was called? I thought it was a cannoli.
I think it was called an Augustini, but that's what they wrote. Who knows? But it was really, really good. It was like a hazelnut one and a little lemon tartlet thing. Both were lush. And then with Sheppy's, you can wander around the grounds. They've got a couple of like orchard walks.
Yeah, they've got all of these orchards that are just when it's not being used to actually get the apples. So I think it's from like, what did it say? It was like October. It was, I think it's from like November to July or something. Whenever the apples aren't being harvested to be turned into cider, you're free to walk around the grounds. Which was really nice.
And I think aside from that, you can walk the grounds, but only with a guide when they're meant to be getting apples and stuff. Because I think when we went round there, the organic apples that they grow there, they don't use any pesticides or anything, and they just let cows and sheep roam the area to eat all the apples that fall down and stuff. But we did the cider tour 2 years ago. We got to go around everything, see how they make the cider, learn the history, because Sheppy's has been around since... It's like 200 years old. I think it's
1800s.
It was like 1813 or something like that. So it's like over 200 years Sheppy's has been there, which is quite funny to any American listeners, because like we have places that make cider in the UK that have been around almost longer than your whole country. So there's even some, like, we saw somewhere it was either Wellington or somewhere we drove past. It was a pub that had been around since it was Badger. We went to the pub at the World's End, and they had a sign on the door, and it was Dorset Badger Ale, I think it was.
Yeah.
And Dorset Badger Ale has been brewing ale and beers and stuff since 1773, which is 3 years before the Declaration of Independence was signed. So we literally have people making alcohol in our country longer than the USA has been recognised as a separate sovereign nation.
It's mad.
Incredible. But yeah, Sheppy's is great. We've been there before. That's why I wanted to go there again. Had some lush cider, walked around the orchard grounds with Willow, which was nice. Went back, had some more cider, and then wandered back to the accommodation.
Yeah, because the last time that we went, we couldn't get a taxi back, and we ended up having to walk all the way back into Wellington, which was over an hour. Which is why I made sure that the accommodation was in walking distance of Sheppy's, but we didn't actually drink. So we drank enough cider that we probably shouldn't have driven, but neither of us were drunk or felt it, and we'd eaten and had enough time to
we'd had 3 pints of cider each in total, and the cider that we had at least was between
4%.
It was 4 to 6%.
Yeah. My point with saying that is that after we left Sheppy's, we went back to the accommodation, and we were going to walk to the garden centre, but it was quite hot for the dog. Willow was getting too hot. Yeah. So we decided to drive to the garden centre, which I genuinely...
It was 90 seconds.
It was like a minute and a half driving.
Obviously, don't condone drunk driving in any sense, but I genuinely... I'm very strongly against drunk driving or making exceptions, but with us, we drank 3 pints of ciders from 10:30 till 2, and we had loads of cakes to absorb it, and we'd walked around a lot. And we had sausage roll, and we were walking around a lot, and we drank loads of water, and I legitimately couldn't even feel it. Oh,
one thing that we haven't mentioned is the day that we were at Sheppy Cider was Willow's birthday.
Yes.
She turned 1.
People may have seen on social media, she turned 1. Obviously, Willow doesn't understand that because she's a dog.
She does. She had the bestest birthday.
But she had a little rosette on, little badge saying it was her birthday, and she got lots of attention from people.
She had a puppy cupcake, and she had some puppy wine.
Yeah, the puppy wine, to clarify, friends, there's no alcohol in, and not even any grapes, because grapes is toxic to dogs. It's just like this. Megan tried some. It's like elderflower lime water. It's
basically just really watered down elderflower with some herbs in it.
But she liked it.
It wasn't very pleasant.
She liked it, as in the dog, not
dog
Megan.
Liked it. I thought
the other dog.
Rude.
But then. Yeah, we went to the garden centre. The garden centre is connected to Pets Corner. There's a Pets Corner near us, which is a really nice... So in the UK, there's a few pet places, but Pets Corner and Pets at Home are probably the 2 main ones.
They're the 2 biggest pet shops.
Yeah, but we used to take Willow to Pets Corner near us because they do this puppy play thing is it Sunday or something? Every
Saturday morning from 9:30 till 10:30. It's for puppies under the age of
16 weeks.
16 weeks, I think.
It's for puppies to socialise.
It's a free little hour session for puppies to socialise as long as they're up to date with their vaccines.
Yeah.
And we used to take Willow to Pets Corner, but we went in there to get her a little birthday treat, and then I mentioned that it was her birthday, and then they got her out a little birthday goodie bag, and it was really cute. It had loads of stuff in it. It was really good. There was a whole pig ear in there. And then loads of little biscuits and loads of other little treats. But it was so cute. Everything that was in there was probably worth around about a tenner, I'd say.
If not more, I think pig's ears are more worth
Yeah.
5-10 quid. But yeah, really, really good. So it was really, really nice. Shout out to Pet's Corner. And then we went to a garden centre, which Megan loves garden centres.
Yeah.
Megan, like 80% of Megan's personality is a garden centre.
It's a garden centre crossed with a farm shop, yeah.
It's basically, if it's a garden centre, if it had a farm shop, typo, and then a little Harry Potter section.
To be honest, Typo is basically a farm shop garden centre.
It's kind of like a hipster one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like a hipster.
Yeah, I would say about 90% of me is described by a garden centre that has a farm shop in it as well.
Even when we were like walking around, they have like, obviously there's a lot of cooking. They have little Italian sections where it's got like stuff from your nonna and lots of baking things. Plus there's plants. Obviously Megan loves plants. And there's lots of stuff to do with animals, which obviously Megan loves as well. And then often they have quite a lot of, what's it called? Is it eco stuff, like stuff made out of bamboo? Sustainable things.
Like loads of like bamboo chopping boards and like salad bowls and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, all really nice.
Like cooking utensils made out of wood.
Yeah. So
that was a Wicket's farm.
Yeah. So went there and Megan got some really cheap, like they were discounted at half price, some really good flower pots.
Oh yeah. I was really happy with my finds.
Yeah.
I got 2 plant pots to add to my new plant stand in the garden.
Have you taken a photo of that yet? Are you gonna put it on social media?
I've taken a picture of it myself. I haven't put anything on social media.
Oh, right.
It was £7. They were £7.50 each for like proper like ceramic outdoor plant pots, which is so good. And then I got 2 hanging baskets, which were a tenner each, which I'm going to fill with strawberry plants, so that Willow can't eat them. But I'm very, very, very excited. Yeah, so I only spent £35 in the garden centre, which I'm very impressed with myself with.
Yeah. I went to, as I said, Pet's Corner, bought, what did I buy in there?
We bought like half an antler, I think.
Oh, that was it, yeah, because we're looking at more things to Willow to chew on. Because she really likes these yak sticks, that are things made out of like yak butter. And
it's yak milk, isn't it?
It's yak milk, yak.
There's another garden centre up here.
There's garden centres everywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, she, so going to see if she likes antlers. So, because I think, I don't know how, like, obviously they do kill deer to have meat and venison and things like that.
Oh, that's a big one.
In excess. I've heard about that one.
I think this is the road that we drove down the other day.
Yeah, I think it is.
I've driven down here a couple of times, I think.
But with antlers, I don't know if they kill the animals to get it, but I know for a fact that there's certain types of deer, and you do find them in the UK, where obviously they go to the rut, they grow the antlers, and then the antlers like fall off. And you could just, at a certain time of year, you could just find antlers around the forest. And I hope that that's where they're from, but who knows? You know, a lot of the stuff that dogs eat are basically bones and ears and all kinds of like rabbit ears. Seeing rabbit ears in a packet is always quite harrowing.
Willow loves a rabbit ear.
She does, and it makes me sad. But I'm fine to give her rabbit ears.
They're kept in the carcass jar.
They are. They're kept in a nice little carcass jar. But yeah, went to Pet's Corner. That was really nice, and stayed over at the hotel again. Went out for a pub meal, which was all right.
Yeah, we went to a different pub because the place Sundays. That we were staying is shut for food on Sundays.
Basically, the owners have like a break because it's a husband and wife who are lovely, and they just want a break. Understandably, they don't want.
Yeah, so we went to a pub that was about a 10-minute walk away.
Yeah, which allowed dogs. That was nice. And then today we're driving back, and
we stopped off at Sheppey Cider.
Yeah, to buy
so that we could buy some cider to put it in the car because obviously yesterday we were walking. And then we drove from there to a place called Wardour Castle, which is near Salisbury.
Wardour.
It was partly some of the filming for Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves was there, which was quite cool. This English Heritage site you do have to pay for, which we didn't because I think it's £6.80 because we are English Heritage members, so we didn't have to pay for it. But it was so good. It was so nice.
The weather really helped, I think, but it was so beautiful.
There's like a huge lake next to it. Like Mike and I have already said, like we spent maybe about an hour there. You could spend like a whole day and take a picnic.
Yeah.
And we're definitely going to do that again. It was lovely.
It felt like, I've described it almost like in the film The Beach. I know it was a book first, but the film The Beach by Danny Boyle with DiCaprio in it. That moment where they kind of get through all the fields of cannabis and stuff with all the gangsters and things like that. When they actually go into the beach that's described and they first look in and everything is just so picturesque and beautiful. It was like that.
It was stunning.
It just felt like that. It was you just you drive up and there's all these really small narrow country lanes. Obviously Megan was driving, and Megan she's a great driver, but she's not as confident as I am on narrow country lanes, because the first 5 years of me driving is all through country lanes because of where I worked.
It's not so much country lanes.
It's really narrow one lanes.
Like one track country lanes.
Where the car is coming the opposite direction.
I was quite impressed with myself. A couple of times over the course of this weekend, I've had to reverse to let other cars go past, which it sounds like kind of lame, but I'm super, super proud of myself that I didn't even hesitate, did I? I was right, reverse, let's go, which I think like maybe a few years ago I probably wouldn't have done that. Yeah. But we were quite lucky with the cars that we encountered, to be honest. But.
Yeah, it was all great. And so getting there, it was like, it's quite a not difficult drive, but you have to be really, really aware.
It is in the sticks.
Yeah, there's nowhere to go. I had no signal at all. We had a sat nav on, but aside from that, no signal to be able to do anything. But then you just come around this corner, there's like a field to park on, and then a few walls and stuff. You go through there, and then it just opens up, and it is just absolutely beautiful. It's this like a castle thing in the middle. It was technically more of like a house castle, but
yeah, he said rather than building out, they built up, so it was quite tall.
Yeah, like
there was lots and lots of stairs.
Yeah, it was like 4 floors, and it was quite. When people think of castles, they think of this gigantic, massive, like Warwick Castle is quite a big castle in the UK. It's not even close to that big. It's quite small.
Yeah.
But it was really nice. Jesus, that house.
Yeah, that's a really nice house. Oh my god, it's got a whole fucking pond with a water feature.
Jesus Christ, the 1%. I know technically I think most people earn over a certain amount, but let's not get into that. With this Wardour Castle, it was amazing. There was forest all around it, which I assume is where a lot of Robin Hood was filmed. And then the castle itself was quite cool and nice, but the field around it is just so well kept, and it's just such beautiful grounds. As Megan already said, there was like a lake nearby.
That I want to definitely go back to. We didn't really go around the lake because, as I said, at that point we'd been there maybe for an hour.
Yeah, we sat on a bench.
And Willow's done quite a lot of walking this weekend, so we didn't want to take.
And not that much sleeping either, because dogs are generally meant to sleep about 16 hours a day, and she's probably slept about 10, if that.
Yeah.
Mainly when we've been going to bed, really, because she's just been
so excited.
Yeah, and she's just been, I'd say unsettled, but not in a bad way. She's just been excited and around with us. And when we're obviously out in the sunshine at a pub, she doesn't sleep that much.
Yeah. I am going to say, though, Willow's been such a good girl this weekend.
Yes.
She made barely any noise in the hotel room. Like, even the owner was like, yeah, we didn't even hear her. You wouldn't have even known that there was a dog.
Yeah.
Like, and then there were a couple of people that saw Willow when we'd go down for breakfast, and they looked surprised that we were with a dog.
Yeah.
So she didn't bark. She was a good girl.
It's really just if someone closed the door on the other side of the corridor.
Sometimes she heard some tapping and there was a little balk that came out.
It's okay, Willow, don't worry about it. We're fine. And then she would just be quiet.
She's been such a good girl.
She's been incredible on this journey, and she's really good at in the car. She's in the car right now.
Oh, she's asleep at the moment.
Yeah, she's an absolute gem. Couldn't ask for a better dog for travelling, honestly. But yeah, it's just been so lovely. But really shout out to Wardour Castle, because it's just incredible. It was so good there. Legitimately, I was saying to Megan, I was like, it might be one of my favourite places in the whole of the UK. It was so hidden away. It was so beautiful and just so serene, and you can't hear any.
Yeah, it's not the kind of place that you just stumble upon.
No,
like it really, really is out of the way.
Yeah.
Like I imagine people in that area know that it's there.
Yeah.
But if we wouldn't have known about it unless I'd specifically looked up us trying to find somewhere to go.
Yeah.
That's English heritage. So.
But that's a good thing about the English.
It wasn't that busy. It was quite quiet. It was really lovely.
And that's the good thing about the English heritage doing like the year membership thing, because you get sent these guidebooks every 6 months, I think, and it's basically just it organises things by area. And then when you flick through the book, it gives you a bit of information about it, but it also tells you if it costs money if you're an English Heritage member, if you're not.
If the parking costs money, whether you can take dogs, whether there's facilities, whether there's picnic spaces, whether you can take a dog and then let it off lead, or whether it has to stay on lead, like whether it's like disabled access appropriate, etc., etc. Like, it's really good.
Yeah, and you can buy the things, because I see on the back the English Heritage Handbook. It's about 11 quid, so it's like you get that free if you're an English Heritage member. So it's just, it's great because we want to keep, history is one of my favourite parts. I'm not a patriotic person because, I didn't choose to be born in England, so why would I be patriotic about something that's not my choice at all? But I'm not proud, in air quotes, to be British, but what I love about living in England, apart from I really like mild weather and not worrying that, a hurricane's going to wipe out everything I own, what I like about it is there's so much history. We're really close to Europe, which helps as well, but so many castles, so many museums, so many English heritage sites. It's just
But it also just encourages us, I think since COVID especially.
Yeah.
Like, before, I was always in the mindset that I'm like, if I'm going on holiday, I want to go abroad because I want to go discover the world. And I still want to do that. But my opinion was always, well, I can go abroad and I can discover the world. And when I'm older, I can travel around the UK.
Yeah.
But since COVID, because we've had to stay in the UK, it's kind of given me a deeper appreciation of what we actually have in this country, because there are so many goddamn beautiful places that we wouldn't have been to sorry, I'm at a roundabout,
well, if COVID hadn't, not saying that COVID made it worth it, but if COVID hadn't,
no, of course not,
you wouldn't have had that perception, because
because now part of me is just like, especially now that we've got Willow, I'm like, okay, well, I just want to spend loads of time going around the UK, visiting loads of places and getting the English Heritage Pass, and then also maybe a National Trust Pass at some point in the future, means that we have like the ability to go and discover places that we wouldn't have really found otherwise. We've like actively sought them out. Yeah. I really, really like it.
Also, because we have quite busy lives anyway. Obviously, you being a teacher, me just having an office job in insurance, but it's fairly busy. But then also, we have quite busy social lives. We do like going to live performances, theatre, and I love going to the cinema. And obviously, I have a podcast, and we both like playing video games a bit. We both like hosting. So our lives are quite high energy a lot of the time. And although I like going abroad, especially getting on a plane and all that stuff, it's a lot of effort. And a lot of the time you go away, and it's delightful, but you don't come back feeling that well rested, because you're doing so much stuff because you want to experience everything that's there.
Yeah.
Whereas the good thing is, when we come to the UK, because like this weekend, we didn't, in air quotes, do anything specific. We just kind of meandered around, drank cider, looked at a few ruins and stuff, and it was beautiful. It was amazing. It was so nice.
Ludgershall Castle is like a 50-minute drive from our house, an hour drive. Yeah. And the place that we just went to, Wardle Castle, is an hour and 15 minutes from our house. Yeah. Like, had we have not got the English Heritage Pass, we wouldn't have even... Especially Wardle Castle. I mean, Ludgershall was just some ruins, which was lovely nonetheless. But Wardle Castle especially is, as you said, is probably one of my favourite places that I've visited in the UK as well, and I'm definitely going to go back. Yeah. It's really nice being able to go and visit those places, and it just gives you more of an appreciation of what that actually is around you. Yeah, exactly. And like I've always had an appreciation for Britain because my dad was a big history buff, and so when I was younger on weekends we would always go to some random town somewhere, and then it'd be like, okay, let's visit the ruins or the castle, we used to do as well. Or the museum, and then after that we'll go to like a shopping mall for mum, have some food, and then come on home. So like most weekends I would be out of Southampton stuff. And when I was younger, especially when I was a teenager, there was a point where I stopped doing that with my parents, especially obviously when dad got ill and stuff. But like before that time, a little part of me when I was like 14, 15 used to begrudge it a little bit, because I'd be like, I just want to stay home like my friends were doing on weekends and just play video games all weekend and blah. But like as I've gotten older, I'm like, I'm so glad I didn't do that, because as much as I love playing video games, no part of me is like, oh man, I wish I'd 100% completed that game, or I wish I'd play more Halo or whatever. Like knowing that I've been to a lot of these castles and have that appreciation for history is something I really want to foster with our kids and stuff. Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, so love it. It's just been such a great weekend, and we got lots of cider to bring back. I think it's the only holiday that we haven't brought back. I thought that person was beeping at me either. No, they were beeping at someone else. But like, normally when we go away, we buy a magnet or something to bring back, and there wasn't really anything that caught our eye. No, there was one magnet from Warder Castle, but it was a bit bland. Yeah, meh. It was bland, and there was no price on it, and I hate it when there's no price, because then you have to ask, and it's like, usually when there's no price on it, it costs a fortune as well. Yeah. That's normally the rule of thumb, which is quite annoying. But yeah, it's just been absolutely delightful. It's been so nice. Really great weekend. Thank you so much, my love, for organising it. But we haven't got any little souvenirs to bring back. We've just got loads and loads of cider. And memories. Of course. Memories, photos, cider. Yeah, all good stuff. I think that's about everything, isn't it? That probably wraps it up. Yeah, I think so. And we're only 50 minutes from home. Awesome. And we basically encountered, like, what I'd say, like, it was barely any traffic. No, it wasn't zero traffic. On the way out, we were told, so other people who stayed in our accommodation who had just come from Southampton. Yeah, weirdly, they'd just come from Southampton. And they said the motorway traffic was really bad,
But because we went to these English heritage sites...
We went through all of the back roads. But what I'm saying is that we haven't really encountered any traffic. There was maybe 10 minutes of some traffic here and there?
If that, yeah. None of it was proper standstill.
Yeah, we've been really lucky with traffic.
So it's just been a real...
This is where I say that now we're 15 minutes from home and there's going to be standstill.
But yeah, I think we're going to go home. I think I just want to have a cider in the garden.
Yeah.
Just chill out.
We don't have any food, so...
Yeah, probably have to go buy a shop. But friends, thank you so much for listening. Please tell us what you thought of this podcast. Have you got any suggestions for English heritage sites? If you've been to any of the places we've mentioned.
Yeah, tell us some places to visit.
And if you're in America, tell us some fun historical places. Even though your country is like a baby, and for you guys, it was a funny thing, we've mentioned it before, but we've watched people on Instagram talk about houses and they go, oh yeah, the 30-year-old house is really, really old. And it's like... Pfft.
Yeah, we were watching something and it was like, oh, this house is quite older. It was built in the 80s. And I'm just like, our house was built in the 30s.
Yeah.
80s is newish.
There's houses in England that are built in the 1880s.
Well, I mean, the house I lived in Andover,
yeah,
that was old. It was like a little thatched cottage.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, pubs are the main thing. If you want to go to a building that isn't a specific historical building, go
pubs.
to almost any pub in the UK, as long as it's not a brand new pub. If it's called something like the Red Lion, or the White Swan, or the Royal Oak, it's probably been there for 200 years. Legit. There's the Red Lion pub in Southampton.
The Wetherspoons?
No, not that one. That one's 150 years old, I think. Right. But there's one in town. And that one is...
Red Lion is a very popular pub name in the UK because I've seen at least 3 of them on our drive.
Oh yeah, there's loads of them.
And the Royal Oak, I've seen loads of those too.
Yeah, and the White Swan. But the Red Lion in Southampton town has been there since the 1600s.
Wow.
So it was 1680 or something mad. But pretty much all pubs, you drive past, you'll see normally above the doorway, it says how long it's been there. I'd say 90% of pubs in the UK were built in the 1800s or before. Legitimately. So, yeah. Americans, check out pubs. Pubs are great. Friends, thank you for listening as always. We appreciate all of you supporting us on Patreon, and if I've released this non-Patreon, I appreciate you listening. Anyway, please do what you always do and be amazing. Thank you, friends. We'll speak to you soon. And I hope you had a wonderful bank holiday weekend, even though this is coming out weeks later. Yeah, I mean, the bank holiday weekend that we're referring to is ending in 10 hours. Today is the 29th of May. Yeah, in 10 hours it'll be over. So, friends, thank you, and we'll speak to you soon. Bye!
You have just experienced host, creator, everything elser of Genuine Chit-Chat, and also the host and creator of Star Wars comics and canon, found on the Comics in Motion podcast, Mike Burton.